Happy Monday, my friends, and welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. On today's episode of the Prime, we're going to give you our full recap of week number 6 in the UFL as Prime Sports World tries to be the number one hub for all things UFL. We're going to give you our week 7 preview as well. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast if you like what we are doing here at Prime Sports World. I'm, of course, your host, David On Point Huffman, right there. My co-host, Mr. T.J. Hopkins. And TJ, after week 5, a lot of really close matchups, or a lot of, down to the wire matchups in week number 5. We had a lot of beatdowns in week number 6. But happy Monday, TJ. How are you?
It's Monday.
So you're doing fantastic is what I'm hearing.
It's Monday.
If you had to categorize this week's action in the UFL with one word, what would that one word be?
Same old, right? The good teams, all right, the good teams do what good teams do. The okay teams do what okay teams do. Bad teams show why they're bad.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Let's talk about it. Let's start with Friday night's action. We had an absolute slobber knocker, if you like, defensive-minded football against the St. Louis Battlehawks and the Arlington Renegades. Battlehawks get the victory 12-6 on a 53-yard. Well, I guess that's not technically a 53-yard, but 2 field goals. Field goal for Rodrigo Blankenship, former Colt, hit a 53-yarder in the fourth quarter to put them up 12-6, and that was the final score of the game. This game was 9-0 at halftime. Arlington tried to score. They got 2 field goals in the fourth quarter to try to get a little bit easier in this game, but just not enough against St. Louis as they go on to win. Also, there were like 46,000 people in this stadium for this game, so good. That's pretty good. Pretty good performance there for the fans there in St. Louis, but too bad they didn't get to see a really great performance. Luis Perez kind of came back down to earth after a really good performance the week prior, 16-23, 145 yards and a pick. Day Hunter, lead receiver for Arlington. On the other side, Max Dugan got the victory, but he didn't play particularly well. 7 of 19 for 93 yards and a touchdown. And Keem Butler 2 weeks in a row with a touchdown for him. So good to see him get back involved in the offense. And Jacob Saylor's 457. But this was not exactly what you would call a offensive clinic by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, this was not good football by either team. And I said it like a couple weeks ago when St. Louis was struggling to move the ball through the air. Like, you have this guy who's about 6'4", 6'5", and he's just a mammoth human being. And you have one mission and one mission only when you play, and that's get him the damn ball. And Hakeem Butler is finally being featured in the offense.
Yeah, he went like 3 weeks in a row where he didn't even have a target.
Right, like fuck a touchdown. Like, he wasn't getting targeted like consistently.
Yeah, but this is 2 weeks in a row where he has long touchdowns. I think last week was 53 yards. This week a 30-yard touchdown. If you get Kim Butler the football, good things seem to happen to the St. Louis Battlehawks.
And it's like no matter who's playing quarterback, your job is to get that guy the ball. And for the most part, his name's escaping me. The guy they had before Max Duggan,
Bryce, no. Danny Edling, no. I will look it up in a second.
It's Manny something. It's
Wilkins, Manny Wilkins. There you go.
He was like, the offense looked fine under him until it didn't, and this wasn't the vote of confidence that Max Dugan was kind of hoping for. Like, yeah, you got the win, but it was ugly. It was an ugly win.
I mean, completion percentage. I feel like I talk about this until I'm like blue in the face, but completion percentage of like under 40% for Max Dugan. That's just not going to cut it in any kind of league. 36.8% completion percentage, 7 for 19. Yeah, you got the victory, but on the other, I mean, just because you're the other side, Arlington turned the football over 4 times in this game. You know, you're not going to win a lot of games if you turn it over 4 times. Because Arlington, on paper, you look at like they had more total offense than them. They had more passing yards than St. Louis. They had more, or not more rushing yards, but they had to kill themselves with penalties and turnovers, and that's just fundamental discipline football. And we're just not seeing out of Arlington, especially not in this particular game, because they had the time possession battle. They like every metric that you look at where you're like, hey, this is kind of like how a football team wins games. Arlington had everything besides the main penalties and turnovers, and that's basically the story of this football game. Yeah.
So I think St. Louis is going through a bit of a quarterback conundrum right now. They're really missing AJ McCarron and his presence, because say what you want about AJ McCarron, at least when he played for them, they were consistent offensively. And like,
well, you know, it's funny. Like when they had AJ McCarron, this defense wasn't all that good, but now they don't have AJ McCarron, and the offense is struggling. But this defense has been fantastic. Like they basically kept them and won them a lot of games. Like that game against the Brahmas a couple weeks ago, almost a month ago now, actually, they won that game because of defense.
And that's usually how it goes.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
Moving on from that game, swinging into the Roughnecks and the Memphis Showboats. Memphis Showboats coming off getting their first victory of the season against the Birmingham Stallions last week. Unfortunately, could not keep that momentum going into Houston as they fall to the Roughnecks 21-20. This is a pretty fairly close back and forth affair, with neither team really having more than a 7-point lead at any point during this game. Memphis tried to make this interesting in the fourth quarter. They were down 14-21. They kicked 2 field goals to make it 20-21 with under 5 minutes left, but unable to get over the hump of the Houston Roughnecks as they go on to win this game by that 1-score margin. Just looking at some of the stats here, looks like Dresser Wynn got the start for the Memphis Showboats at the quarterback position. 22 of 34, 207 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. West Hills, they didn't really run the ball all that effectively or try really. 24 of 82 for 1 touchdown, scored by their quarterback, Dresser Wynn, and Dre Anderson, lead receiver for the Memphis Showboats. On the other side, Jalen McClendon, 20 of 28 for the Roughnecks as they move to 3-3. They're up above 500. He threw a touchdown, but that complete percentage is kind of what you want to see. Zadir White, 13 of 50, Justin Hall, leading receiver, and the lone receiving touchdown for the Memphis Showboats as they go on to win, or for the Houston Roughnecks, as they win 20-21. Memphis has a lot of the stats that you would think that it makes you win football games. They did have 2 turnovers in this game, so that's probably not going to cut it. But Houston, they continue to just get wins. They're 3-3. Moving into 500 and into a place where they could potentially be hunting for a playoff spot as we go down the stretch here.
It's just that 3-3 is 2 of their wins are literally against Memphis. But
if you remember last season, they only had 2 wins last year, and they were both against Memphis. So,
and what's really surprising is like the 2 times they've played have been like some of the most entertaining games this season, and they've all been 1-possession games. Like 1-score games at that. Like it's almost like bad teams just play each other good because it's like, hey, we both can't be bad. Like somebody has to win, and so on and so forth. Hey, like if you're Memphis, when you're these 2 teams, like Houston and Memphis, the margin for error is just that much smaller. Like there's literally 2 quarters where Memphis didn't score, and that's literally the difference in the ball game.
They didn't score in the first frame, and they didn't score in the third frame, and that's basically all she wrote.
Like if you just kick a field goal, if you get a safety in the first quarter or the third quarter, you're winning by 1 versus losing by 1. and you scored in the you scored in the fourth quarter to make it a one-score game, and you literally have three options. You can kick a 1 point. You can go for a 1 point conversion to tie, 2 for the win, a 3 for the win. But you missed that, and now you have to do the 4th and 15 to get the ball back to win, and you didn't get that. So it's like, again, we talk about it all the time. Like, the scoring in the UFL literally allows teams to say, "Hey, we're still in this."
Yeah. And you know what? It's depressing. Like, this was the most entertaining game of the entire weekend. Like, in terms of scoring and like competitiveness, like this was probably the most entertaining game of the weekend. I mean, even if, like, I know it's easy to do things in hindsight, but if you convert that 2-point conversion in the second quarter and make it 8-10, you win this game. Like,
you win the game.
You only have 1-point margin. And for Houston, I mean, defense continues to be one of their calling cards here. They got a strip sack, pick six fumble that goes to the house for the Houston Roughnecks for 40 yards out, and then you get the 2-point conversion. And Jaden McClendon, played pretty damn well in this football game for the Houston Roughnecks.
And again, they're both same boat. They don't have consistent quarterback play, which is like, again, Dresser Wynn got the start, and I'm watching it. I watched a little bit of this game, and I'm like, who the hell is that?
I've never even heard of Dresser Wynn. Like, I couldn't tell you where he went to college or like anything about his.
Like, who's Dresser Wynn? Like, I've never heard of him, and it's no disrespect to him. And it's the same thing with the Roughnecks quarterback. Like, I've never heard of Jalen McClendon before. I don't know where he went to college. And
so Dresser Wynn played at UT Martin.
Oh, Tennessee Martin. Okay.
Yeah, he went undrafted in 2023. He bounced around a couple of practice squads for the Rams and the Edmonton Elks before he ended up becoming the starting quarterback for the Memphis Showboats.
Okay, so he spent time in Canada. That's cool. It's fine. Hey, get it how you get it, man.
Yeah, 100%. And I can't even find Jaden McClendon on the Wikipedia.
Jalen McClendon. Don't show me Jalen Green right now. I'm not happy
because I was spelling his first name wrong. So he went to NC State and then he transferred to Baylor. He went undrafted in 2019. He bounced around on some practice squads, Ravens, Redskins. It's still the time, the Redskins. Then he was in the original XFL. The XFL, the original XFL in 2020. They got killed because of COVID. And then he was on the Vegas Vipers the first year of the XFL. And then he was on the DC Defenders last season, backing up Jordan Tiamo. And now he's the starting quarterback in the Houston Roughnecks. And yeah, he was super good in this game. And actually, Jalen McClendon, if I remember correctly, on the Vipers, started some games for that football team and was pretty solid for them.
He went 1-3.
Well, I mean, the stats numbers were better, but
I mean, you can only control so much.
100%.
You're one person. But again, this was the most entertaining game of the weekend. But and I said it earlier, like this is the second time they've met. I don't know if they meet again. Probably not.
No, they don't.
But these two teams, like, these have been, like, their two games have been like the most, like, probably the top two entertaining games of the season.
Yeah. And then moving on into Sunday afternoon football, the game that was on paper I thought was one of the more compelling matchups of the weekend ended up turning out to not be the case, as DC went into Ford Field to take on the Michigan Panthers, and they got pounced, I guess, by the Panthers, 38-14. Michigan put up 7 points in the first frame, and that's basically all she wrote when it comes to the Michigan Panthers, as they basically just dominated this game from wire to wire, from end zone to end zone, goalpost to goalpost, as they basically scored in every single quarter, and DC just really could get nothing going on offense. Michigan, just for context here, had 401 yards of total offense in this game. No turnovers, dominated time possession. Like, this was an absolute thrashing by the hands of the Michigan Panthers. Jordan Tiamo was actually solid in this game. The completion percentage is not really where he wanted to be, but 19 of 36 for 259 yards and 2 touchdowns. Deion Jackson, 10 for 47. Chris Rowland, 9 catches for 144 yards and a touchdown. On the other side, Bryce Perkins has kind of steadied the ship here for Michigan a little bit as they moved to 4-2. 13 of 18 for 2 touchdowns. Tua Toa, 19 for 94 and a touchdown. But they had 3 rushing touchdowns in total. And as a team, they ran for 213 yards on the DC defenders in this game. They found a formula. They ran the ball 38 times in this game. They only ran it 18. And then Cole Hukidini, I'm going to go with that. 3 for 63 and a touchdown as Michigan all over DC defenders. A wire-to-wire victory for the Panthers.
Yeah, just oh my God. Hey, this perfect example. Hey, I'm going to do it until you stop it.
Yeah.
I'm going to run the ball 38 times. And there is absolutely nothing you can do about it. Like, there was a drive where it was easily DC's best drive of the game, where Tiamu found what's his name, Chris Rowland.
Yeah.
For that 65-yard touchdown. Yeah, that was their best drive, and that was to make it 24-12, and they got the 2-point conversion,
yep.
Right? And then it's like, okay, like DC's humming. It's like you see a little pep in their step, And then the very next drive, touchdown.
Not to mention that next drive took better more than like 6 minutes off the clock. And like you score a touchdown, you build some momentum, and then you watch the team like gradually nip and chip all the way down to the end zone, and then score a 5-yard scrambling touchdown and take 6 minutes off the clock.
Which was also very confusing because it was DC held them to a field goal. Then all of a sudden they missed the field goal. Then the Michigan offense was back on the field. So somewhere I missed the explanation as to why their offense was allowed to come back on the field. And yeah, and it's almost like Bryce Perkins, he does the scramble drill. And it's like, oh, we got him. And actually, no, you don't. And touchdown. Like, that was what was kind of disheartening about that drive. Because, they held the ball for so long. You held them to a field goal. And then a penalty. Not only did you hold them to the field goal, they missed the field goal. But a penalty puts the Michigan offense back on the field, and that DC defense was fucking exhausted to the point where Bryce Perkins literally rolled to his right, broke 2 tackles, stayed in bound on the sideline, and dove in for a touchdown to make it 30-14. And this is after your offense just gave them a shot to the jaw and be like, hey, this game ain't over. And then that subsequent drive was like, yeah, this shit over. You ain't coming back from this one. And this was statistically
so the 44-yard field goal. There was a penalty on somebody for DC, Anderson, for leaping, which is a 15-yard penalty, which gave them the automatic first down and allowed the drive to continue.
Okay, so yeah, I missed that part. Yeah, no, because I missed the explanation because and on top of that, so it's like first and goal, right? Michigan runs a they try to run a screenplay, but it gets called for OPI. Like the guy, one of the blockers didn't even try to make it look like he was running a route, So that's obvious OPI. So that's 15. So it goes from first and goal to second and goal, but you're at like the 20. Bryce Perkins takes a very bad sack. That's third down. Then he gets sacked again. That's fourth down, which then they tried out the field goal that they miss. Then all of a sudden, a leaping penalty puts it back at first and goal.
Yep. At the 3-yard line.
At the 3-yard line, and the next play, touchdown.
Yeah, that's basically all she wrote for that drive. But yeah, I mean, Michigan is just on a roll right now. Just looking at the standings, they've won. So they just won one game in a row, but they're 4-2 now. They're tied with Birmingham, and they have I think they have the most prolific offense in the league right now, by a country mile actually. So they've scored 156 points so far this season. The only team that's weirdly enough, DC and St. Louis both have 131 on the dot, which is kind of weird. But
I think the issue with DC is like the DC teams in the past, whether it's from last year's iteration or the were they XFL team?
Yeah, they were the cream of the creme in the XFL the first season.
So it's like those DC teams. They were able to do one, like they were the team that ran the ball 38 times and was said, "Hey, stop it." They can't run the ball,
and they haven't really effectively even tried all the matchup. Abram Smith, he just doesn't look like the same guy coming off that Achilles tear. Like it's unfortunate. We kind of thought maybe that'd be the case, but he only had 5 touches in this game.
That's not gonna happen, bro. Like I mean, like and you already know what I said. Like when you come off a big injury like that, you don't spend your off season training. You spend your off season rehabbing so you can train.
Yeah.
And Jordan Tiamu, like statistically, this was one of his better games. I mean, like looking at the numbers, it's still terrible, right? It's still awful. 19 to 36, 259, 2 touchdowns. 52.8. We just gonna round it up to 53% because we nice over here. 53% completion pass, bro. That's terrible. That is horrible.
That's the kind of completion percentage that Anthony Richardson was like getting benched for.
Hey, but he can't. It didn't get him benched though because he got him drafted 4th overall NFL. I still have a big bone to pick with you. Y'all gonna hear from me one fucking day because y'all sat there and watched a man complete 74% of his passes, and people were like, "I don't like him. Drop him, make him fall to the 5th round." That's a story for another day. 53%, bro. That is horrible. You're not the saving grace. He didn't throw an interception, but the defense couldn't stop nobody. And Bryce and on the other side, like you said, Bryce, they ran the ball 38 times. So it's like, oh, Bryce Perkins, you only throw the ball 18 times. 13 of 18 is really good. That's
13 of 18. 2 of those are touchdowns. Like that's a good day at the office right there for Mr.
But
Bryce
you
Perkins.
ran the ball 38 times. It's almost like it's like why am I throwing the ball when you literally can't stop this thing I'm doing?
I mean, you're averaging 5.5 yards per clip. Why would you do anything else? Like moving on into the afternoon cap. We got the San Antonio Brahmas going into Birmingham and go out with a whimper, 26-3. But on a positive note for the Brahmas, this is still more points that you scored in the championship game last year. So if these teams play, 7 or 8 times, they'll eventually get to 21 points. So
Jesus Christ.
Birmingham wire-to-wire victory, 26-3. Birmingham was rolling out 2 quarterbacks in this game. Birmingham gets the victory, 26-3. And shout out to Harrison Mevis, who has been an absolute machine at kicker. I imagine he will get some sort of NFL tryout. And fun fact about Harrison Mevis, he's from Northeast Indiana. Was part of the highlight zone when he was here in Fort Wayne. And the fact that he's killing it now in the XFL or the UFL just is awesome. His brother, too, has like a crazy big leg. And I'm not sure what he's doing, but Harrison Mevis, shout out to him. Did you see the highlight from his kick? He could try it. They trotted him out there for like a 56-yarder at the end of a half last week against the Memphis Showboats. He missed the kick way short, and they took it back to a house call, a touchdown on the other side. I think it's the first time that's ever happened in the UFL last week. But anyways, back to this one.
But it's also like appropriate that something like that would happen to San Antonio.
I also think last week featured the first overtime game in UFL history as well. But back to this week, San Antonio Brahmas took another stab at the starting quarterback position. They got one of my favorite players, Mr. Kevin Hogan, to come in and suit up for them. Not great. 17 to 26, 179 yards in a pick. But the Brahmas as a whole on offense could never get anything going in this game. They just looked like all dysfunctional. They ran the ball 13 times for 24 yards. If you're doing the math there at home, my friends, that's 1.8 yards per carry. Justin Smith, 5 for 108. Literally, this football team had one good drive to end the half, and they didn't do jack diddly poo the rest of the game. Like, they had like 40, or it was like 20 seconds to end the half where they had like this onslaught of offense. That was 20 seconds of offense that they had in that game. That little 20 seconds, that's it for the game. You didn't get nothing else. Chase Cook has got the start, 16 to 23. I kind of like what Chase Cook has did this game. I don't really understand the double quarterback. I know Andrew Peasley gives him a little more of a running threat, but I think I would stick with Chase Cook as going forward. 16 to 23, 166 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ricky Pearson Jr., 6 for 32 and a touchdown. And then Kay Johnson, 5 for 61. Amari Rogers and Jay Sternberger, the lauded tight end in the UFL, also had a touchdown. Unfortunately for Jontre Kirkland, dropped an easy walk-in touchdown early in this game that could have actually changed the whole landscape of this football game in the first half. It's weird. Javante Kirkland had the most receptions in the UFL last season, and he just kind of looks like a shell of himself so far this season. But Birmingham up big, 26 to 3. Never really in doubt this result.
Well, I don't know, man. Like, hey,
and I will say that quarterback play for the Brahmas this season has not been remotely good at all. So, whether it be Kellen Mond or whoever else they were rotting out in between Kellen Mond and Kevin Hogan, but it hasn't been a good performance. The good days at the office for the offense for the Brahmas.
No, it hasn't, and that's literally where I was going. Like, when your quarterback play is suspect at best, it's almost like if you're Jontre Kirkland, it's like, what the do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Because I know that he says, I know he's probably in there like, yeah, man, last season I was kicking ass, and now he drops that touchdown. It's just like, dude, would it have made a difference, like, in the outcome? Who knows?
I mean, I doubt it, but I mean, that's a walk-in touchdown. They ended up punting that football. Yeah. They ended up punting it away. I mean, at that time, it was still 12 to nothing.
It was still a game.
So you scored that touchdown. You're 12-6. So I mean, I don't know. I mean,
no. It's those are the plays that, as a receiver, as a former receiver, those are the ones that keep you up at night. Those are the ones that you literally think about the whole game, because it's one of those where it's like, if I catch that, like you said, it becomes 12-6. Maybe you go for the one, make it 12-7, or even if you just score that touchdown and you don't get the conversion, it's still a one-score game, right?
Yep.
It's one of those where you score that, now the team got a little, like I say, they got a little pep in their step. They got a little
momentum too.
Momentum. They start to talk. They start to talk a little bit more. They start to get a little, a little air about them. But when you drop that touchdown, especially for a team that's been struggling offensively, like San Antonio has, it's like, yo, how do you go back to? It's one of those like, damn, bro. Now I gotta go. Now I gotta trot back to the huddle, and I gotta look at these other 10 dudes in the face, and I gotta face that music, and like, I know it's real easy to say like, hey, forget about it. Next play, we finna literally run the next play. We gotta forget about it. It ain't always that fucking simple. And then the play before the half, it's almost like, and we talked about it in the group chat. While I understand, like, hey, you got to get a touchdown here. That's 3 seconds. Like, you know what? A lot can go wrong in 3 seconds. Like, what? So it's
Yeah,
like, what if you run the play and
I understand.
quarterback gets sacked?
I understand. I understand your logic at the half, but I mean, like, my thought process there was like, you haven't moved the football remotely well all game. You have this momentum drive. I mean, kicking a field goal there really doesn't change anything about the. I know it makes it a one possession game because of the UFL rules, but like, I think putting the ball in the end zone, because they haven't at to this point, they hadn't scored in like 6 quarters a touchdown. They haven't scored a touchdown since they beat the Roughnecks a couple weeks ago. They haven't scored a touchdown, and they didn't score at all in this game. They didn't score in the week before where they scored only a field goal. I think it would have done something for the Brahmas to go into halftime with the touchdown, but I do understand that if you don't get anything out of that drive, that would be debilitating too. Um, I think you could. I think the logic goes both ways on that conversation. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer.
No, you right. Like, it's fucking, like, it's a double-edged sword, because it's like, hey, if we don't get points, like, if we don't, a field goal really don't help our cause, but we have to go into the half with something on the board, because like, that's their logic. Like, hey, we got 2 more quarters to play. These ain't finna be the only points we score all game. Like, that's what they're thinking.
Yeah,
And then
but it ends up being the only
and then the other side is, if if we don't kick a field goal, if we go for a touchdown, and if we don't get it, then we're really buried here. But at the same time,
not to mention Birmingham gets the ball out of halftime.
out
So
of
I bet they're
half,
into some of the
so,
decision making there. But I will
like,
say, on the other side, during that particular drive, the defensive concepts and like whatever they were doing on Birmingham side on that, like the fact that they were able to get down the field and like have the ball at the 3-yard line, whatever it was, right? With under 20 seconds to go and not even having to burn a timeout is terrible defense on Birmingham side. Like, just absolutely atrocious. Like, you cannot allow and I know the first play was just like an absolute scramble drill. Like, the fact that the guy caught it was even sort of a straight up a miracle. But the second play where the guy was just basically wide open in the seam, or on the quarter, it's terrible defense. It's not good at all. Like, it's just atrocious.
and at the same time, it's like, it's almost like San Antonio, Birmingham was like, I fucking dare you. I fucking dare you. Like, I dare you to run a play with 3 seconds left. I dare you. I dare you to try something.
But yeah, Birmingham proved that they're still the more superior football team when it comes to the Brahmas and the Birmingham Stallions, as they win that game 26-3. Let's move on into week number 7, as we are more than halfway done with the regular season, and we're moving into playoff contention. Just real quick update on the standings, if you don't already know. In the XFL conference, DC and St. Louis both sit at 4-2. The Arlington Renegades are right there at 3-3, and the San Antonio Brahmas, which is one of my favorite teams, just because I like saying the word Brahmas, they are
Clearly.
they're 1-5, so their season is probably essentially over. On the USFL conference, we got Birmingham at 4-2. The Michigan Panthers are also 4-2, and the Roughnecks are 3-3, with the Showboats rounding out the 1-5. And actually, weirdly enough, the records in both divisions are exactly the same, which is pretty weird. But let's talk about week number 7. I wish I kept a tally on how many of these picks I actually get right, so I could have like a running tally at the end of the season. But I usually forget, like, right after I make the pick. So, that's the old age. That's the old age showing there, TJ.
Probably what we should start doing, even with the
NFL.
Yeah, just keep a tab on.
I love it. All right, Defenders going into San Antonio and taking on the Brahmas. I don't know who the quarterback is for the Brahmas going to be. I don't think it matters. Give me
I don't think
DC.
it matters.
TJ.
I don't know. I don't think it matters who's quarterbacking for San Antonio at this point. Like, it's just not good.
From there to Saturday afternoon football. This one's on Fox, so you can sit at home and watch it on your regular TV. Same thing with that Defenders game. It's going to be on Fox as well. So go ahead and if you got a chance to watch that action, go ahead and do so. Saturday, May 10th, we got the Michigan Panthers going into Arlington, taking on the Renegades. Renegades have lost 2 games in a row. Michigan Panthers on a 1-game winning streak as they beat the DC Defenders this most recent week. TJ, who you got in that matchup?
I'm going with Michigan. I just think that I like Bryce Perkins more than I like Luis Perez. I'm hoping it's more entertaining than what we just than Michigan and
DC.
Michigan and DC, because these are 2 teams where it's like, hey, they could possibly put on a show offensively. Like we could see some fireworks this game, and I would hate for this to be a letdown, because you need people to buy into the product. You need viewers. You need viewership.
Especially since this is going to be on regular television. So yeah, I'm going to go Panthers as well. I just think that they're building momentum here, and I think their offense has been really cooking over the last couple weeks. They've had 400 total yards of offense in back-to-back weeks. So I think they'll keep that rolling against the Arlington Renegades. To Sunday afternoon football. Let's start at noon. This game is on ABC, so your regular ABC, so you can go ahead and watch that game. We got the Roughnecks coming in on a 2-game winning streak, going into Birmingham and taking on the Stallions, who are coming off that victory against the Brahmas there on Sunday afternoon. I'm going to take the Stallions. I just think that they're a better football team than the Roughnecks. You also have very little trust in the quarterback situation in the Roughnecks. Although I do like what they got out of Jalen McClendon this most recent season, this most recent week. But I'll take Birmingham. TJ.
Birmingham. Oh, see, if this was DC, I probably would have picked Houston on some real shit. Yeah, I hope McClendon gets the start. Like, me personally, yeah, he should. Like, there's no reason.
He just won you a game, and he played pretty well in that victory. I can't imagine them going to anyone else. I don't even know who you go back to. I mean, is Garrett Coratano still on this football team? Like, so
I'm not sure, but like, hey, this is kind of like it just sucks. Because if you're Houston, it's like everything was.
I mean, yeah, Jalen McClendon is going to be the starter. Nolan Henderson wasn't good at all. Anthony Brown also not good. So
yeah, bro. It also makes me wonder. It also makes me wonder, like, yo, when did they get Jalen McClendon? Was he there the whole time?
Because he's played 3 games.
Because for the first part of the season, you did the 2 QB thing. Like you went from. You just said the names of Henderson and Anthony Brown. You were playing them in the same game, like drive to drive, play to play almost, and it was god awful. And then insert Jalen McClendon. It's like, hey, he's been here, especially if he's been there the whole time, and it's like, and you just now playing him, like starting him. Yeah, we got to have a conversation because inexcusable.
I agree with you. To the final game of the weekend. This is on ESPN. We got the 4-2 Battlehawks coming off getting that victory this most recent weekend, going into Memphis and taking on the Showboats as they sit at 1-5. TJ, any chance we see an upset here?
Oh, and I never thought I'd say this, but who's like St. Louis is like, who's quarterbacking? Who's quarterbacking for them?
It's probably going to be.
Is it going to be Manning? Is Manny hurt? Is Manny Wilkins
Yeah,
hurt?
Manny Wilkins got put onto IR, so it's probably going to be Max Dugan more than likely. Who started the last couple games.
Okay, so like if you can get the same kind of performance out of Drew Wynn that you got last week, and that's kind of tough because St. Louis's defense is clearly not Houston's defense. They're better, but Max Dugan again left a lot to be desired if you're St. Louis. So if you're a Battlehawks fan, like, yeah, like we said it at the start, like, yeah, you got the win, but I'm not confident in Max Dugan going forward. And if you're Houston, if you're Memphis, was Drew Wynn just lightning in a bottle? Was that a one-off? You haven't had consistent QB play ever.
No.
Like ever. Like, and I mean ever. Like when you were UFL, when you were XFL, when the merger happened, you didn't have quarterback play ever. So you're looking for that. And no, I don't. Especially if this game was in St. Louis, there was no way in hell Memphis pulls off the upset.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I'm going to go to the St. Louis Battlehawks. It's not very often that me and TJ agree across the board on every single pick when it comes to predictions on anything. But yeah, the Showboats stink. Like, let's just call it a spade a spade. They're just not good. They're not a good football team. They did get their one victory against the Elliotts, which was a massive upset last week. But I don't think they get another win this season. And I think the Battlehawks will go into Memphis. I think they'll take care of business. I think they'll run the ball effectively with Jacob Sailors. They'll get Akeem Butler involved early and often. Give me Battlehawks with the victory. And I think that'll be a resounding victory for the Battlehawks.
Because you also said that, hey, this is week 7. You only got 3 weeks left. So we know who's who at this point. And also, if you're not at least a game or two, like if you're not 500 or at least a game or two under, your season's shot. So whoever's 1-5 or 2-4 or whatever, it was nice.
Well, we have 2 teams that are 1-5. Everybody else is in the hunt, kind of. The Brahmas and the Showboats are essentially playing for pride at this point of the season. So,
that's good. It's over.
But yeah, thank you very much for joining us here at Pride Sports World as we try to be the #1 hub for all things UFL. This has been our Week 6 recap, Week 7 preview. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. My name is David On Point Huffman. Right there is my co-host, Mr. T.J. Hopkins. And thank you for staying up a little bit later than you would normally to join me here on the show, TJ. I do appreciate it. And TJ, what do we do here at the Prime, my friend?
Well, I don't work Sunday nights, so you're fine.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Yeah.
But anyways,
so
TJ, what do we do here at the
heat.
Prime? Come on, I didn't hear you. Come on, bring the heat. Let's go. Here's a quick message from our sponsor, the Huddle Sports Network. I'm going on vacation this week, so this will be the only show I host this week. TJ, you have a good week, man. I will see you next Monday.
See you, man.
Take it easy.
Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before. Imagine tuning in to real-time discussions, expert analyses, and fan interactions all at your fingertips. Each platform offers a unique experience, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. We're not just sharing stories, we're creating a community of passionate sports enthusiasts. Join us as we dive deep into the evolution of podcasting, where every episode is a chance to engage, debate, and celebrate the world of sports. This is where your voice matters and the game never stops. Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before, where sports passion meets podcasting brilliance. I'm Mike, the Bear fan, and alongside Bill, the Packer fan, and our buddy Ken Catalone, we're bringing you an incredible lineup of 38 diverse podcasters. Each one brings their unique flavor to the table. covering everything from game analysis to behind-the-scenes stories. Imagine diving deep into the minds of experts who live and breathe football, sharing insights that you won't find anywhere else.